And so I was delighted with the subject matter because I thought, wow, because Japji just means to repeat, to repeat, to repeat basically Creator's name, whatever you call that Creator. So Guru Nanak was born to a not a poor family. He was born to a farming family in the north of India, from Pakistan. And he never behaved ordinary as a child. As you read many stories about saints, right? They always do weird stuff, and people say they're either crazy or what's wrong with them, and they try to get them to conform. Maybe like your parents tried to get you to conform, but you were different because you were destined to be a yogi. So they give him simple jobs to do. Like they would say, okay, take the grain to the market and sell it at a fair price for the family. So he would do that, but then he would give most of, or a large part of the money away on the way home to people who needed it, because he would see beggars on the side of the road, and he knew that it wasn't his money. He knew it was God's money. So they said, okay, that doesn't work. He's not going to be good at business. So let's just have him take care of the sheep in the fields and the cows in the fields. So he was to be a herdsman. So he goes out to do that, but he felt that all the animals were one under God's name. So he opened the gates and the fences so they could all go everywhere, because he didn't believe, how could you own anything? So what to do? He didn't work as a herdsman, he didn't work as a merchant. And so they did marry him. He was matched in a marriage. But it was soon thereafter that he started just singing God's praises. And he met with a beautiful musician named Mardana. And Mardana played a little string instrument like a mandolin. Now Mardana was a Muslim, and Nanak was a Hindu. So it was very unlikely that they would even be friends. It was like a very much discrimination and differences, where families didn't talk. It was a caste system, on and on. And yet they began to travel together. And you could tell by Mardana's appearance that he was a Muslim, and by Nanak that he was a Hindu. But yet people did not harm them, because they walked from village to village singing God's praises. That's all they sang. They didn't sing a certain God's praises. They didn't take a Hindu God or a Muslim belief or any belief system. They just went universal totally and sang, there is one Creator who's created this creation. Truth is this Creator's name, and great is this Creator's wisdom. And then they walked and walked. They returned home ever so often, but they walked really for 44 years. And they walked all the way to Tibet. They walked through Nepal. They walked through all of India. They walked even to China. And when we went to Tibet, we've been there 3 times, and we couldn't even imagine walking across the Himalayas like they did, going to Tibet where it was so cold, and then ending up in all of these different places. And every place they went, they just sang God's praises. And they ate when people gave them food. They slept where people provided them bedding or not. They went into the groves where all the Gnostics, all the yogis were. And they basically said something that I've never forgotten. You are not doing yoga. You are doing asana. Asana is not yoga. Yoga is union. Asana is a practice that takes you to union, but it cannot stand alone. You have to have a relationship with Creator. You have to meditate. You have to rise in the ambrosial hours and praise this Creator. There's so much more than just doing austerities, because they were really into austerities, which means very physical yoga, plus austerities, of course, lying on nails or holding their arm up for 27 years, doing all of this stuff that they did, just almost like a physical feat, but yet it didn't come necessarily from here, and it also was not part of serving humanity. So he said you have to sing the praises, do your practice, but then make it a living practice, a daily practice, where you take this good physical body and you walk out and you say, how may I serve? And so those were his basic teachings. And he lived a long life. But he didn't come to start a religion. Same as Jesus did not come to start Christianity. They were prophets. They were enlightened beings who were just told to come to the earth and to serve. But Jesus was a simple fisherman. He was a fisher of all men to help them to connect with Creator. He never intended to stand between them and the Creator. He never intended to create the feeling that you were born with original sin, which means you're born bad. And you've got to repent your whole life to get good. How could he have said that? Same as Nanak. So when the Sikh faith started, it was like a breath of fresh air, really, because there was no gurus per se that you would look on the outside of you, as so much within previous religions. It was find the teacher within you. So fast forward to Guru Nanak, or Nanak left his body and he was taken. The same lineage or the same energy went through 9 other teachers for 350 years. One would die and one would know that the lineage was to be handed to this one, this one, this one. And every one of them had a story. And every one of them brought an amazing, enlightened offering and teaching to where we are today. Now at the 10th Guru of Guru Gobind Singh, after he left his body, he said there should be no more masters or gurus within a physical body. The guruship is now the scriptures, the Word. And in the Word was the beginning. If it's the Bible, if it's the Quran, if it's the Kabbalah, if it's the Siddhi Guru Granth Sahib, which is our scriptures, if it's the Vipassanas, not the Vipassanas, but all of the Hindu faiths, all of what they have written, and that we study, and you all study so much here in Sanskrit, to look towards the Word and to look towards nobody else, because your Guru and your teacher is within you. Now that before, this is a new idea, because we had always been looking for over 2,000 years in the Piscean age for somebody on the outside of us. But they don't want you to look towards them. Like I don't want you to look towards me. Or Yogi Bhajan doesn't want you to look towards him. They brought you teachings so you can look towards yourself for your answers. And not, tell me something, oh Guru, oh Guru, oh Guru. That's over. That's the Piscean age, where you're told by somebody out here, whether it was your rabbi, your priest, your parents, your teacher, there is a God. You're 5 years old, so you mimic, there is a God. But it's not your experience that there's a God or a supreme being. In the Aquarian age, you have to have the experience. Otherwise, it's somebody else's truth. Now, how does one get it? Best way is through asana, leading to meditation, leading to a daily life that gives you a practice that connects you with the inner Creator within you. Yoga is a beginning, but it's certainly not the end. However, it's a darn good beginning. And I would say that all schools of yoga and all teachers have brought a great offering to the West. We always say if you don't see God in all, then you don't see God at all. And it's really the truth. So we stand in the presence of our own light. We stand in the presence of our own teacher within. And the best example of how you want to help the world is to be the light, so other people will be attracted towards you and ask you perhaps, what are you doing? And then we've got it. We've got Japji. We've got repetition of the positive, repetition of the truth. And we become the living truth. And that's what yoga is. Yoga is to connect you with God. If you don't like the word God, I don't know if you like it or not, then use another word. I don't care. But without that connection, you have nothing. You have nothing. You'll be miserable. You'll be incomplete. You won't find peace. You won't find rest. You won't find relationships. You won't find abundance. You won't find anything unless you have a link with that one that's running the whole show. And it is. We're his employees. He gives us our first breath, correct? Or did you give it to yourself? And he takes the last breath. So what do you do in between that first and that last? Yogi Bhajan taught us to serve. He didn't say do yoga all day long. He said do your yoga practice in the morning before the sun comes up. If you get up at 4 in the morning, we do our yoga. Not that we don't do it other times, but we do our practice, we do our meditations, we do our prayers. Sun comes up. It's kind of hard here because the sun is up so much now. We just came from Sweden. I mean, it's impossible to get up before the sun comes up. You got to get up at 2 in the morning and it's light. But we did our best. You just do your best. People will say, well, I can't get, well, just get up then and do something. You don't leave the house without brushing your teeth, right? But no one brushes their mind. You go out with this big old thick plaqued up gunky mind from the day before. You know how good it feels to do yoga. You know how good that yoga can lead you to a nice meditation. Then why wouldn't you give that offering to yourself every morning? I would be scared, to tell you the truth, to leave my house in the morning without doing sadhana. It has happened. And I feel like a mad woman. I feel like I'm so like this. Like we see so many people. So that's what Nanak gave us. He gave us a way of life. He was kind to everybody. He gave us a living example of the possibility of a human being. So the story goes that, as I read it, and it was in northern India, that he was renowned as a saint by all. And again, there was no Sikh faith. The Tibetans found him a saint. The Hindus found him. The Muslims. Everybody loved Nanak because they could feel his light. And he disappeared, and they feared for his death. They thought he had drowned in the river or walked out into the forest. They didn't know what. After 3 days, he walked out. I wonder if I have that picture. He walked out of the water singing this prayer, Japji. And that's how it all began, the morning prayer. We'll play it while we're doing our yoga. And this is the picture of when Guru Nanak walked out of the river and chanted this prayer. And it came out in this color. And it was pretty radiant. And so it's a beautiful prayer that you can get either in English or in Gurmukhi, which is a language that our scriptures are written in. And I'll read some of the passages of it. It takes about 26 minutes to chant, but it's just bowing and bowing and bowing to create any form you can imagine. It leaves nothing out. And when you're done, whether you did it in English or in Gurmukhi, which has a sound current, you just feel complete. And so that's what we'll do today. You are so perfect now, if you could only know that right now. And it was just one line that just got me, because we all go through what's wrong with us, right? It might be your asana practice. I got to get this better, that better. It might be your life, your career, your family, your body. Every single thing. And it just, all of a sudden, a light bulb. I am so perfect the way I am. And what's so beautiful about that is you're forever changing. It'd be like saying the Ganga in India is so perfect the way it is, but it's forever changing because the water just flows and flows and flows. So if we were today to even leave with that in our hearts, I am perfect just the way I am, how wouldn't it change your life so much? We're always told and strived, especially in school, with our parents wanting us to be this, that you're never, ever enough. You're never complete. Even in spirituality, even on your spiritual path, told you always have to go someplace to be complete. You always have to be something more, meditate more, get clearer, raise your kundalini, become enlightened. Every single thing. And yet, if you right now were to say, I'm complete. It's so relaxing, isn't it? So relaxing. But it's the mind that drives us crazy. It's the mind that messes up everything. The beauty of Kundalini Yoga is so centered on clearing the mind. And that's what we're going to do today. Because then you can hear the song of your heart. And that's what Japji is. Japji is just listening to the song of your heart. Let's rub our hands together.